have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond. Worry no more, because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnel who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities, and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps, and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Caraba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657 479 980-8483, 340-9400 or 635-9906.
Jamano Money Transfer Bureau de Change, your go-to option when it comes to money transfer. With Jamano, you can send money from anywhere in the world to your family and loved ones in the Gambia and be sure the funds will be delivered to them within the shortest time possible. For your convenience, funds sent through Jamano Money Transfer can be picked from all the banks and multiple other financial institutions, including Ajib Bank, Trust Bank, GT Bank, Mega Bank, Basic Bank, Reliance Financial Services, and Approved Services. Visit our head office at Brusubi opposite AfricMed next to Trust Bank Limited, or email us at info@jamanomt.com. You can as well call us on 310-3050 or 310-3051, or yet still 733-0688. Our opening hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Jamano Money Transfer, your most trusted money transfer service where customer satisfaction is paramount. When you think of a simple, fast, and reliable money transfer, think Jamano Money Transfer.
Agada. Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Important. Nsila ID soto.
Ah, sasa ndo. Sorry. Agada.
Bijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Ah,
mbale ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Ah, jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Ah. Birim koyna fo kato
barisi kodo kino kato ni fo bolon blabe
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam
ha
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol nko kodo kiya bele kodo sifa fo palindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi topoto ni kodi maraw jannom number 1 ti nyonta andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale le dadi man domorol ni fana beteata Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je
wo moyo diat
apelenta
ni wo ka ni na lafta nyelen kendol e bina
yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba
yalo ndel chosano lo
baraka.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Welcome to the brunch on Kerfatu Live. I am Lamin Cham, and this is your weekly look at current affairs, and that we mean major stories that have occupied the national newsstands over the last 7 days. And of course, we also bring in personalities that make news. Today, I'm privileged again to be in the company of Professor Dr. Galleh Jallow, journalist, writer, very well known in the recent past for being the man who put up the Gambia's much reputed Truth Commission, the TRRC. The executive director, that is, the executive secretary, well, everything's now director, so executive secretary of the Truth Commission, Galleh Jallow, who after that went ahead to pursue his other passion, that is academia. He spent a year in America on a fellowship. We'll talk about that. And much recently, he was named among 3 others from across the continent, him representing West Africa in a group that the African Union set up, calling it a reference group for transitional justice in Africa. The African Union set that up. We'll talk about all that. Plus, what is his perspective on major developments in the political or other fronts in the Gambia? With Dr. Galleh Jallow, of course, you can never exhaust talking about issues both in the international and national fronts. Doctor, welcome to the brunch.
Thank you, Jam.
Good. He's from Badibu Makiu, so there'll be a lot of banter here between him and me. He comes from Parafenye. Of course, those who know him very well, we remember he also worked the West Africa Examinations Council and then the Daily Observer. And of course, he founded, co-founded, if you like, the much loved independent newspaper of the 1990s. So many people will remember that paper, The Independent, that Jammeh dreaded so much that he had to set it on fire. But that didn't kill it. Galleh and others had to flee for their life. But he came back, like I said, in just after the dictator was overthrown. Well, was it overthrown? Yes, by the people when he was voted out in 2016. So Baba had a lot of stories, actually. So it's always exciting to have you in the studio. Welcome once again.
Thank you, Chair.
Good. Now, where have you been since you left the TRRC? Let's begin with that.
Well, thanks a lot for that kind introduction. I've been around after the TRRC. I was here for some time, and then I was invited by Harvard University Law School, to serve as the inaugural Roger Fisher Fellow in Negotiation and Conflict Resolution. So in August of 2023, I went over to Harvard, and I spent a year there doing some research, studying and teaching on negotiation and conflict resolution. The fellowship ended in July of this year, and I came back to the Gambia. And so I'm in the Gambia right now. Yeah.
Much recently too, you were named among others in Africa for this new group called Reference Group that the African Union set up. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, the African Union set up the what they call the Continental Reference Group on Transitional Justice in Africa, and essentially it's an advisory board of transitional justice experts around the continent. So you have 3 experts from each of the 5 regions. There are 15 members. So you know the main goal of that group is to advise the African Union on issues of transitional justice, on how they might, be able to properly implement the transitional justice, the African Union transitional justice policy. They have a transitional justice policy that they published in 2019. And so how can countries implement that? And if there are interventions like conflict situations or interventions where a country needs assistance in setting up a truth commission or other transitional justice mechanisms on youth and gender, then they would call upon members of this AU reference group on transitional justice to assist in as technical support to some of these countries. But in general, it's just an advisory group. It's not a full-time job. Although when the announcement was made, I had some kiankas and some.
And you got an international job.
Yeah, they thought I got an international job, and some kiankas were already congratulating, but also saying, well, what a waste of money. And a lot of
really?
other things. Yes,
But anyway, it's a prestigious job, and I'm sure it was you were selected from what you might have done at the Gambia Truth Commission, which we understand has been referenced all over the world.
Yes, absolutely. That's the only transitional justice experience I have. So the TRRC is well regarded around the world. My invitation to Harvard was a result of my work at the TRRC, and my invitation to this reference group as well is a result of the work. We did a good job.
Absolutely.
Remember before the commission started, you interviewed me.
Yes, I did.
And Fat Toure and Yang Jai also interviewed me.
Yeah, exactly.
And we used to say that failure is not an option, and we made so of that.
You made it tremendous.
Because we put up, a functional institution, and we thought outside the box. We brought in new ideas, and we created a truth commission.
Yes, everywhere now is referenced the Gambian model.
The Gambian model, and so I have had invitations to go to South Sudan, a couple of times, Ethiopia a couple of times, Togo, Kenya, to just discuss what we did here and to share ideas. So essentially that's it. It was the work that we did at the Truth Commission that led to all of these things happening.
Good. We will have a lot of time on the Truth Commission and the post-TRRC. Of course, we'll talk about that. Right. But a lot of people have always asked me, why don't you ask him back? They think that the independent, which you founded, should come back. Do you ever sit and reflect on coming back to full-fledged journalism, writing, as you used to do prolifically for the Observer and the Independent?
Not really. I don't think that might be an option. It might be an option. I'm not ruling out anything, but at this point, I think I would not want to go back to full-time journalism. I probably would want to concentrate more on transitional justice, conflict resolution, negotiation and so on, because we have a lot of countries in Africa that are currently having issues of peace and conflict, and there is no doubt that that number is going to rise because of the nature of the political regimes we have across the continent. So I'm not quite sure I would go back to resuscitate the independent. Even if I were to go back to journalism, I probably would start another.
Yeah, people also said, since he's a professor, he's been teaching in the United States, would you do something in the academic field in the Gambia? For example, lecture in the university, one of the universities in the country?
Well, absolutely. I would happily do that. I'm looking out for opportunities. If I see an advertisement which I haven't seen any academic position.
But you weren't aware of, well, maybe they've been selected. Some university or professors appointed as vice chancellors and senior lecturers at the new University of Science called USAC.
Well, I did not see any advertisement calling for expressions of interest or applications.
Okay.
And I think that's a proper thing to do. If a university or the University of the Gambia has open positions, I'm sure they need lecturers. I can lecture history, I can lecture in political science, I can lecture in conflict resolution, and even literature. So if they do have need for professors and lecturers, they should advertise it. so that people, interested people, I would be happy. I would be happy to apply.
Yeah, people always want you to see you in,
yes,
lecture in the university.
I'm sitting here. I'm not doing anything. I'm not employed right now.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go run after people for a job.
Maybe they think that you are connected internationally, like you said. Somebody thought you had an international job, so maybe.
No, that's not the case. The thing is, if there are openings within the university system,
yes,
or within anywhere, where they need people to come in and let them advertise the positions.
Absolutely.
So people can apply. I would happily apply. I love teaching.
Yeah.
That's my passion. I love teaching at the university level.
Yeah.
So if I see a position for which I am qualified, I definitely would apply for it. So I would be happy to go into academia, because the transitional justice work, it's not, it's likely perhaps that you get a job, international job elsewhere, or even in the Gambia, a full-time job. But mostly it's about, ad hoc needs.
Yes,
They
like
just need your service, and then, you come in, render a service, you get paid and you go. But a full-time professional career job would be within the university system.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen any opportunity for that yet.
So people who wanted to see Baba in the university, well, he's available.
Absolutely.
And sure, they will certainly do that, because they will love you to be there and share your experience. Okay, let's talk about, what about politics? I think there was a time you were either quoted or said to have said you might be interested. At one point you contemplate about going to politics.
I wouldn't rule it out. I think that I have something to offer this country. If the opportunity presents itself for me to serve in a political capacity, I would be happy to do it. It's not that I want to be a politician per se, but I think that I have something to offer, that I can assist in solving some of the problems that the country is facing. So if there is an opportunity to serve in a political capacity, I would happily go in there and do it.
Good.
Yes.
Okay. As a professor, of course, you have been following everything in the Gambia, economic, political. So we'll come to that. But let's go back to the TRRC. Yes, a fantastic job. Everybody in the world recognized the work of the TRRC, and thanks, of course, to you and your team for diligently working to put it up. When we were watching TRRC, it turned out to be a soap opera. Everybody in the offices, in the cars, anywhere, everybody tune in, television or radio, to follow the startling revelations that have shocked the nation, that they were happening in the Gambia. You compiled a very, very comprehensive report, and the government came out to accept almost everything except a few. But along the line, a lot of people we talked to, people who might not even be politicians, believe that the recommendations have not been fully or even impressively implemented. They feel disappointed. Do you feel the same way?
Well, I don't feel disappointed per se. I do feel that the government could have done better. They would have gone at a higher speed than they have so far. But I think also, knowing the landscape of transitional justice and truth commissions around the world, because I've studied truth commissions in Latin America, Asia. I taught a course on truth commissions at Harvard. So I know that what the Gambia has done so far is much, much better than what a lot of countries have done.
Oh, even at this pace, when people are not happy with the pace?
Oh yes. Even at this pace, we have done a lot more better than a lot of the countries around the world that have had truth commissions. There are a few truth commissions that did extremely well, much better than here. But let me tell you, in a lot of countries, when the truth commission finishes their work and submits a report, the report is put aside. It's not even published for the public to know what the contents are. So here, we made sure that the process was open, as you just said, that everyone knew exactly what was happening. At the end of the day, the government accepted 263 out of 265 recommendations. So essentially, we submitted the report on November 23rd, November 23rd or 24th of 2021.
Yeah.
A month later, as per the TRRC Act, the government published the report. That is to their credit. It departs from established traditions in other countries. 6 months later, as per the TRRC Act, they came up with the white paper, accepting 263 out of 265 of the recommendations.
Wow.
And since then, they have passed legislation. They have passed the Special Mechanism Act, the Special Accountability Mechanism Act. They have passed the Anti-Torture Bill. They have passed the Reparations Fund Act, into law.
Yeah, into law.
They have passed the Special Prosecutor's Office law. These are all part of the recommendations.
Oh, I see.
These are all recommendations that are coming from the TRRC report. So now that they have passed these laws, what that means is that they are now obligated to carry out, to implement the recommendations. Because it's already law. It's not just we promised to do it. They have made it into law.
They have now taken practical actions.
Yes, they have taken practical actions. They have introduced civic education into the school.
Yes.
They are in the process of setting up a reparations fund, a reparations commission.
Yes.
Yes, they have done interviews, I know, for commissioners of that. I don't know how far they've gone with that.
Okay.
And they are in the process of setting up a reparations commission. So even though the progress is very slow,
it's very slow. Yeah.
it is much, much better than the record. The Gambian record so far is much better than what has happened in the majority, maybe 95 or 96% of truth commissions that have happened around the world. So yes, they could have moved faster. Yes, there is a visible lack of political will to some extent. There is no doubt about that.
Yes.
Because it's not easy if you're thinking of your political interest to move as fast as you should.
To take difficult decisions that you think might harm you politically.
Right, but overall, the Gambia has done much better than a lot of other countries that have had truth commissions. That I can tell you.
Okay, a lot of progress, but then the areas that people find difficult or blame the government for not being very quick or willing to do is this thing of
reparations.
Well, reparations number one. Reparations definitely is long overdue. Many people are saying some victims are even dying.
Right.
Reparations haven't done. The latest we heard about the most recent, or the president. He received some UN visitors at State House and said, apart from prosecution, we also want to adequately compensate the victims. People said the government perhaps think that compensating the victims might be more important to them than prosecuting people who might be liable. How do you strike this balance? Because yes, people like Buddy Bunkers, whom I was tortured with, might like money. But some Kiangas and some people might say, well, yeah, we may like money, but then we don't want to see people who tortured us in the street going. So something has to be done about it. How do you balance this?
Well, we know that all of these things are important. Accountability is extremely important. People who committed crimes, and it's all in the TRRC recommendations. Every single perpetrator who committed crimes against humanity or crimes of torture and other crimes is recommended for prosecutions. At the same time, the victims are also recommended for reparations. So it's not that one is more important than the other. What we have here are sets of recommendations. In this case, two issues that are equally important. So, payment of recommendations extremely important, payment of reparations extremely important, but also prosecutions extremely important. So it's not that we say reparations are more important than prosecutions or prosecutions are more important. Both of them are equally important. And I think in both of them, I think there is some progress being made towards that. In terms of reparations, like I said, they are setting up. They passed the reparations fund.
The timeline they gave was well past. They said by the first quarter of the year we would have been functional.
Extremely slow. Extremely slow. And they are setting up the reparations commission, as I understand what's going on. At the same time, they are working on setting up the special prosecutor's office here.
Special prosecution, yes.
Yes, they're setting up. They're trying to set up a hybrid court.
Yeah.
But let me tell you that these issues, especially issues of prosecution, are very, very difficult and very, very slow. Very, very difficult and very, very slow. There is the case of this, LRA rebel leader in Uganda. I forgot his name.
LRA, is it not?
Lost Resistance Army.
Army, yes.
In northern Uganda.
I forgot. He was a very famous man.
Something Pela.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know his
He
name.
had been at large. Or they arrested him.
No,
in fact, yes.
no, not the Lord's Resistance Army leader.
Leader. Oh,
No.
somebody in the army.
One of his lieutenants.
Okay.
The prosecution of that individual by a special court in Uganda took 13 years.
My goodness.
13 good years to prosecute one individual.
One individual.
In Sierra Leone, they had I think 9 indictments, and they were able to prosecute just a few of them.
Just a few of them.
You know, so the
They
prosecution
took a lot of resources as well.
Yes, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. These things are very expensive and very, very slow. You know, so I would say that the prosecutions
and the Rwandan genocide case also, I remember, which Honorable Galleh was head, I think, was it? Yeah, was he not head of the
ICTR
prosecution? Yes,
yeah.
That also took time.
It took time, so it takes time. Prosecutions take time, but the government could have moved faster, especially in prosecuting those perpetrators who are here.
And that, I was coming to that.
In the regular courts.
Yes, I'm coming to that.
I think
Why
that
do
is
you think?
possible.
Why do you think the government seems to be frustrated with the case of the junglers? Because the contradiction is that while many people think that the junglers were very honest, some of them, and yes, the commission's in objective was to get them truthful and perhaps consider them for amnesty, but some of them didn't get that amnesty, but they are walking freely in the streets. That's what people found difficult to understand. The government came back to say, well, we have tried to lock up these people, but you can't keep them in detention forever without, trying the trial. So they seem to have forgotten about them until when maybe proper structures are in place to try them.
I think that would be it. I mean, I can't speak on behalf of the government, but I know that there is a lot of lack of capacity in the judiciary to prosecute these cases. And, that is not an excuse. I think that for me, if I were in the position of the government, I would have started some concrete steps towards prosecuting some of them.
But they have reached out. They have reached out to the people outside the world who are willing to help.
Yes, well, I wouldn't know what the nitty-gritties are because I'm not an insider in this.
I know they've been to ECOWAS,
but
and
I know that they do talk about lack of capacity, and that's the reality: lack of capacity to prosecute some of these people. But at any rate, I think the process could have been faster than it is right now. So there is clearly a certain degree of reluctance to go there. You know, it's a minefield.
Yes.
But eventually they would have to go there.
They would have to go.
And one thing about the Gambian situation is that Yahya Jammeh and those who committed the most human rights violations are accused, by the Commission of committing crimes against humanity. Now that is significant. It is significant because even if the Gambia government is unable or unwilling to prosecute these people, any member of the international community can prosecute them.
As has been the case
under universal jurisdiction. Yes.
How to call it
Sonko,
now?
Bailo, now Michael Sankore in the US.
Yes.
Now that is because their crimes, what they have been accused of committing, fall under the umbrella of universal jurisdiction, of crimes against humanity, which falls under the umbrella of universal jurisdiction. So what that means is that any country that has an interest in prosecuting these people, whether it's Yahya Jammeh or all the
people who have been adversely accused or adversely mentioned.
Not only adversely mentioned, but accused of
this,
committing crimes against humanity.
They can get arrested anywhere.
They can get arrested and prosecuted anywhere. So it might take some time, but I think we'll see more and more prosecutions happening, either in the Gambia or outside.
So basically, these people who have been accused are working freely here, largely because the government or the country doesn't have the capacity yet.
Well, that is what the government is saying, that they lack the capacity. But I think that the rule of law is the rule of law. Yeah. If somebody is to be prosecuted, you want to prosecute them, arrest them, charge them, prosecute them, or allow them to go about their business until you are ready to do that, until you are ready to arrest, charge, and prosecute them.
And this may be the policy that the government maybe think about these people.
Well, that's the rule of law. You cannot jump the law, and just because somebody has appeared before a commission and is accused of committing a crime, you arrest them and lock them up. You have to be able to prosecute them.
Yeah, we're still on air. Yeah. What about the other area aspect of people who might have been adversely mentioned and continue to hold offices, or are being considered for appointments in the government?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that in my opinion, in my humble opinion, that is not correct. It's not right. That's my opinion. It's my subjective opinion that, if people are adversely mentioned, if they were enablers of the dictatorship, they should not be privileged servants of the current government, public servants. I think
they are still there.
People should be held accountable for their actions. It's not like going after their blood, or crying for blood. But the reality is that some of the enablers of the dictatorship are in very important positions of authority right now. I think that is a slap in the face of the struggle that we all waged against the dictatorship. That's just my humble opinion, and I think that a lot of people would share the view that some of these people really should have been, even if they are not grabbed and locked up, should not have been given the type of privileges that they are enjoying under the new dispensation right now. That's just what the reality is.
The other thing you mentioned, they try to put in place is civic education, arising from recommendations of the TRRC. How effective do you think is this, plus the general knowledge gained from the Truth Commission, as by relating to the current practice? For example, the security forces. Did you see any reform in the way they go about things? For example, Jammeh's regime was known for arbitrary detention without trial, locking people at places that are not unidentified or not official detention centers. The general approach of the security to be conducted.
Well, I think there is a lot more to be done in terms of security sector reform. I don't know how that process, because that is one of the transitional justice processes that was initiated.
There's a lot of criticism against the government for not either. Well, government always said something has been done, but people still believe that there are still
a lot needs to be done. I think that the arresting journalists, for example, for writing news articles.
Well, we'll come to that later.
It's all part of the security situation. And so I think arresting human rights activists, people who call themselves human rights activists, for criticizing the government or the president, I think we should be beyond that as a country. The civic education aspect of it at this point is too early to say how effective it is. But it is important that you have civic education as a subject that is studied in the schools. Now, what we need to look at is the content of the curriculum, the civic education curriculum. Is it relevant? Because we have had a national, what's it called, the civic education?
It's a national commission for civic education.
Yes, that commission, it probably was effective, has been effective, but I haven't seen the type of things that they need to teach.
The NCCE.
Yes, the type of things that they need to teach the people need to be, clearly vetted. We need to know exactly what is the content of the curriculum and whether the content of the curriculum is actually transformative. It has to be transformative. Transitional justice is all about that. Civic education has to transform the mindset of the people. Is it taking them from point A to point B, from understanding X to understanding Y? So that is still too early to tell. But I hope that the right people are put in place, to carry out these civic education endeavors, and that the security sector reform goes to the issue of reforming the mindsets of the security forces, which is that if an order comes from above, you go arrest Lamin Cham, you go arrest Lamin Cham, regardless of whether Lamin Cham has committed a crime or not.
Or whether it is not information minister who wants Lamin Cham locked up.
Exactly. So yes, so we still have a lot of work to do. I think that if the government is really serious about doing the work, they have resources in the country to be able to assist in doing the work without necessarily breaking the law or going overboard, in any way.
Good. The TRRC recommended what is used to be they want to promote an institutionalization of the possible institutionalization of this joking relationship between communities. They believe, your commission believes that it can play a role in promoting reconciliation and preventing conflicts and, promoting understanding. How have you seen that at work?
Well, it should be able to work. The joking relationship is important. I think in that regard, I think the TRRC recommended the formation of a National Peace Commission.
Yes.
And I understand that they have drafted a bill for the National Peace Commission, and they have sent it to the Interior Minister. The last time I heard was that the bill was at the Interior Ministry. I don't know why it needs to go to the Interior Ministry, but it is there. And I think, promoting reconciliation and friendly relations between communities is important. So, yes, Nyominka, Jola, or Jahanka, that kind of, culture is something that we should cherish. It's part of our culture. It's predated the nation-state system. It has been there all along. It has reduced a little bit, but not entirely. Still very important. So promoting that would be a good way of creating social cohesion.
Good. So much on APR, the TRRC, and we'll come back to it. Let's go to politics, because that's another area you studied at the Fora Bay. It was in the late 80s or the early 90s. When were you in Sierra Leone? I think I met you in Sierra Leone, or was it Hazum?